мы начинаем завершающую сессию этой конференции, этого мероприятия. Из-за разницы во времени с Соединенными Штатами Америки у нас первый доклад «Инструменты для многостадийного ГРП», который предоставит Чад Гибсон и компания The Wellboss Company, будет предзаписанная.
Hello, my name is Scott McCrae. I'm the International Sales Manager with the Wellboss Company. The Wellboss Company specializes in multi-stage frac technologies such as open-hole ball drop, plug and perf, coil shiftables, as well as newer large bore continuous pumping technologies known as Smart Dart, which we'd like to convey to you today. Throughout the course of this presentation, we aim to convey the evolution of multi-stage frac technologies to you and the progression through each deployment method. We hope that at the end of the day you can take away some positive information regarding the ability to combine the strengths of certain deployment methods with others to be able to achieve effective isolation, as well as cost-cutting initiatives, including non-productive time, as well as the ability to increase your ROI by combining the strengths of proven deployment methods with newer frac methods, such as the Wellboss Smart Dart completion system. So thanks again for having me. I join you from Calgary, Alberta today. Chad Gibson is also on the line. He is tuning in from Houston, Texas. Chad Gibson is our product champion for the Smart Dart technology. And without further ado, we'll begin our presentation. Thank you and welcome, Chad.
Hey guys, welcome to the presentation. I'm going to take you through the evolution of multi-stage fracturing tools from a designer's mindset. The theme of this webinar and what I'd like to share, the methodology of designing these tools, and our mantra of reducing costs, increasing production, reducing risks, and taking different types of technologies to solve unique industry problems. So we'll take you through the timeline. We'll show you share the pros and the cons of each of the systems, and then we'll move on to kind of the next generation of how we think we can combine these technologies and move the industry forward. So looking at the progressive timeline on how multi-stage equipment has progressed and evolved to solve each and unique industry problems, as operators start to push the envelope of drilling capability and drill to extended depths and reaches, the tools that we design must allow for all these additional stresses and technological advances that we see. So stage count, pressures, rates, proppant load, temperatures, isolation, frac placement, near wellbore conductivity are all things that we strive as designers and as manufacturers to come up with ways of increasing the efficiencies. All these things also make it very difficult to design these tools as the industry is also leaning to be more cost effective and more efficient. Just to keep in mind, even just going higher temperatures alone have enough significance to change the material each design significantly. So as we walk through this design from left to right here, hydraulic fracturing is nothing new. Obviously, mid-century, moving from pre-perf to a plug and perf operations, open hole ball drop, cemented in coil shiftables, and then we move into more extended reach areas where we're having troubles with intervention, and then interventionless systems to actually increase efficiencies and reduce your NPT, so your non-productive time. We'll touch on each of these kind of individually and share how the progression of the designs and the advantages of each affect us. So we're going to start with plug and perf. We're going to kind of leave pre-perf to the side as it's not as much used as it once was. But starting in the plug and perf area, obviously this is the predominant completion type in North America, and However, in Russia and in the CIS, there are still a few niche markets that would use this, but due to the access to services such as wireline and the reduced ability to control your frac diversion and your water control, it's not predominantly used in those areas. So looking at kind of the overview of the system and how the operations look, with our frac plugs used as our isolation device, we send a system of wireline runs that includes setting gear, perforating guns, and charges to initiate your frac stage. So we're putting an isolation device, which is our frac plugs, and then we're creating our formation access with our perforating guns. The big advantage of this system is that no requirement for equipment is needed on the drilling side. Some of the advantages of this allow us to place stages on the fly, right? As we move up the wellbore, we can change our completion design. It allows for longer and shorter stage spacing based on the rock and based on your previous stage frac pressure gradients. Less jewelry in the hole means a simplified drilling process. And then obviously with that specific completion design, you're not limited to your rate. You are pumping a full bore capability, so whatever you can get down your casing, you can design your perforations to take. Some of the inherent disadvantages of this system include a lot of downtime. So there's a lot of services on site, including wireline, pump down crews, frac manifolds, cranes, which can result into cascading delays, which if you have one crew down, it cascades into a lot of inefficiencies and downtime for the whole pad. A lot of these efficiencies that plug and perf relies on, like zipper fracking, only really come into effect when you're on a multi-well pad as well. And then as well, post-frac, we're required to go in and drill up these plugs. And so the challenges of designing a plug that will run quick, set and hold your frac pressure and last the duration of your frac program, and then be able to drill up nice and easy and circulate those pieces out has been a challenge for plug manufacturers, which is why kind of the need and the push to go to a dissolvable frac plug has been pushed in recent times here. The biggest downfall of the plug and perf market is your diversion and your perf efficiency. So setting and perforating multiple entry points, where is your frac really going? You might be getting really long frac extension through one or two clusters and not really stimulating the rest of them. Moving up the timeline to ball drop frac sleeves. This is probably the most understood and widely used in the Russian region. So these include now adding equipment to our drilling operations. So that's packers for our open hole isolation, and then adding frac seats, so incremented ball seats, so we can land and shift open sleeves to get our formation access. The ball drop system leads to a lot of efficient fracking operations. So we're allowed to drop balls and continuously pump and open sleeves, resulting in very little downtime. Some of the drawbacks of this system, though, include frac isolation. So we're using open hole packers to isolate zone to zone. So do the packers provide adequate isolation between stages, especially in unconsolidated wellbores? Also, does the frac propagation start at the packers due to some added stress at that point? Another limitation is the number of stages that we can run and the ID that you're pumping through. So with each stage that you're adding to a system, you are incrementally decreasing your wellbore size so that you can activate that stage. This results in a reduced frac rate due to those restrictions, and you might not be getting the proper amount of stimulation at your toe regions that you would like, but then you're seeing at your heel. Again, for any future operations, closability, or added features of this system or further intervention, a drill out is required. You can run dissolvable balls and not drill out your seats, but any intervention down the road would require a drill out as well. Obviously, with this system, on the drilling side, we're adding more jewelry. We've got packers, and we've got our sleeves. So this also brings a significant risk on our installation, getting downhole and making sure that we put all those sleeves in the proper order to avoid opening and accessing the wrong interval. With this system as well, talking still about isolation, having those incremented size ball seats don't really allow us to get a lot of stages and still move into a cemented application. So there are some applications where if we keep the ball seats large enough, we can run cemented, but then we're a lot limited on the number of stages that we would be able to run per well. Another system that's been introduced into the Russian region as well, but I think comes with a high cost of services and availability, being coil tubing and mobilizing those units, is the cemented coil annular fracking system. So this is a sleeve technology that progressed over top of the open hole ball drop system that allows us to cement all the sleeves. So simplifying the installation process where we don't need open hole packers. All of these sleeves are typically identical. They are a little bit longer than a traditional sleeve to allow for the coil operation to access them and manipulate the sleeves open and closed. Running a cemented application means we don't need the need for the isolation open hole packers. So this would give you a better frac isolation between your stages. Operated and manipulated using tubing, normally coil tubing, to avoid run-in hole and well control. The BHA allows you to manipulate and isolate your stage to stage, allowing these sleeves to be open only or closable as well for shift frac close to avoid sand influx, and as well provide some future benefits for water shutoff as well. Benefits of this system would be, having that coil or having that tubing in the hole while you're fracking. Not only preventing a screen out by controlling the concentration of your fracking operations at the formation instantly, but having the ability to, in the event of a clear up, in the event of a screen out, to be able to reverse circulate and clear that wellbore and continue your operations. This allows you to get a little bit better near wellbore conductivity when you're doing that shift frac close as well. The screen out mitigation feature or ability to circulate also helps your frac crews push the boundaries a little bit of your concentrations so that you can further increase and decrease your frac times. So you're decreasing your cycle times of your well. And so this is kind of a good feature to have, especially as having coil in the ground. Naturally, you are rate limited. So being able to increase your concentrations because you're not worried about that risk of screen out allows you to regain that efficiency. Having the coil and the manipulated sleeve downhole already, closable sleeves have kind of taken over the coil annulated systems. Like I mentioned, this is a big benefit for sand control or future well intervention for water shutoff, flooding, or even refrac opportunities. So though this is a really good and flexible system, obviously it's got some limitations, and the biggest one would be your rate. With the coil tubing and the tubing in the hole, there's a lot of added pumping friction that is brought to the table with that. Service availability, so where are you guys getting the coil, mobilizing it to site, road restrictions, stuff like that. Tool reliability, so how much frac, sand, and pressure can these BHAs hold downhole? Can we complete a full wellbore or multiple wellbores with one BHA? All this, plays a factor in choosing this method. Next, so the main question here is, how do we reduce the risk of intervention at the toe or during long lateral completions? So as we extend and push the boundaries of our drilling capabilities, we reach longer depths where our drill out, our tubing, our wireline become problematic and start creating NPT for us. So a few methods to help mitigate this problem. First one, utilizing one or more zone starters at the toe of a well. So this allows you to open your toe with hydraulic pressure and pump your first stage frac. So this will help clear any cement debris or stringers for any then secondary operations that you might need to do, and move on to your next stage. This also allows you to get your frac pumps to begin pumping immediately, right? So we don't need to pump anything down. We don't need to run coil or run wireline, also resulting in downtime. Next, furthermore, we can look at smart dart systems where they can be run up the wellbore to complete the entire system, or they could just be used as a toe installation. So we're going to look at this system a little bit more on the next slide, but also a good opportunity to complete the extended reach wellbores. Dissolvable plugs, they've also been a good replacement for plug and perf operations at the toe, still requiring the wireline intervention to be able to set and perforate, but it does reduce the requirement to have to go in there and drill them up. So in summary, the use of a hybrid system can allow any operator to extend their well, reducing the risk of those intervention opportunities for the longest runs of their program. Okay, last but hopefully not least, we look at the smart dart systems as the next generation of frac sleeve technology. So by next generation, what we tried to do is look at all the other types of systems, take the advantages of each of those systems and trying to reduce the limitations or the cons of each of those systems. So similar to a ball drop completion, the darts are launched and pumped on the fly. They get 100% fluid efficiency during their pump down. So this gives them the fastest stage to stage time capability. So reducing your cycle time on the well significantly. It allows for cemented pinpoint frac placement. So these sleeves can be run cemented, or they can be run open hole, and we can run one sleeve per stage, or we can run multiple sleeves per stage. So we can simulate a pinpoint system, or we can simulate a plug and perf limited entry system. So being able to cement with this system allows us to avoid those undesirable water tables and gain the benefits of that cemented pinpoint system as well. Big benefit with this system is your fracs can be displaced without the need for an over displacement. So this increases your near wellbore conductivity, meaning you're not putting all that water behind every stage. From a manufacturing standpoint, we wanted to reduce the risk of installation, quality control, and operations. So these systems, the Smart Dart system, all of the components are machined identically. We tried to keep this system as simple as possible. So the sleeves, they're short, they're compact, they don't need pup joints. They're actually designed that they can just replace the collars in your well. So now we're reducing your thread count and increasing your drilling installation efficiency. So because all these systems are identical, unlike legacy systems or ball drop systems, we're not worried about putting the frac sleeves in any specific order, and the dart does not rely on being a specific component to a specific profile. The system itself, it utilizes a dissolvable ball technology as well, something that we've put a lot of research into to make sure that the reliability is there. So this reduces the need for any drill out runs. Outrun is still possible because you can still intervene with this system. And where we'd like to see this go, with known ICIPs, the ability to utilize fully dissolvable darts is a big potential for us, allowing us to achieve that closability on our sleeves as well. So lots that can be done with a system like this that is very simple and easy to use. So this is kind of the next generation of frac sleeve, but it's the first generation of where it could go. So ran through all these systems very quick. And thank you guys very much for your time.
Thank you, Chad. So as you guys can see, there's an inherent advantage to being able to understand the ability to blend the strengths of certain systems together. Obviously, our time is one thing that is limited with this presentation, so please feel free to reach out to us anyway after the presentation and see what else we can determine to be suitable for your application. But the goal here is to be able to mitigate some of the challenges specific to certain geomarkets. And, you know, within the geomarket of Russia, there are inherent challenges to being able to place fracs appropriately without fracking into water tables or areas that are of non-interest areas, and the ability to maintain a low operating cost. So as you can see through the evolution that Chad just displayed to us, the goal here with SmartDart is to be able to achieve all of the above and mitigate the risks known to certain geomarkets around the world. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you again, Chad, for the explanation, and we hope to hear from you soon. Bye, guys.
Уважаемые коллеги, так как презентация была предзаписана, если есть вопросы, отправляйте нам на почту, мы переотправим для ответов авторам этой презентации.
Since this is a pre-recorded,
So send the questions to our email and
to the presenters. Now we're going to hear from Artem Andrushchenko, Deputy Director of Annular Company. He's going to speak about the wellhead equipment.
Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. My name is Artem Andrushchenko. I would like to tell you about our enterprise and the specialized equipment that we produce for frac and coil tubing operations. So the company was founded in 2014. We are located in Chelyabinsk. The company was established to meet the needs of the services company in the specialized frac and CT equipment in high pressure conditions. The manufacturing facility is 4,000 square meters, up to 120 people of personnel. We have our design bureau. All the products are manufactured at the high-tech machinery. I'd like to mention that the frac equipment is manufactured in line with the API 6A standard.
Основным узлом устевой компоновки ГРП является запорное устройство, задвижка. Наше предприятие разработало...
So this is the valve for the wellhead. Our company developed the specialized valves
для высокорасходных ГРП. Основным отличием задвижек ГРП нашего производства от стандартных
for high-volume fracking operations.
являются упрочненные детали.
So the main difference from the standard one is simplified components, the gate and the saddle that are subject to the main loads. So we tested it. As a result of the tests in one of the service companies, we pumped 1,610 tons of propan through this gate valve. We revisited the valve, checked it, and the valve was operational without any problems, and it continued to operate.
Также хотелось бы продемонстрировать несколько реализованных проектов.
Would like also to show you a number of projects for the Wellhead Christmas trees. One of the oil field services companies for the high volume fracturing in 178 millimeter tubing. We manufactured the 180 millimeter ID valve with 1000 bar working pressure. So the client wanted to have hydraulic control of the valves. So in addition, this was equipped with the hydraulic control station. The total weight of this assembly is 13 tons. Since the production time was limited, taking into account the design stage, the time for production was only 90 days. So another project, this is the Wellhead assembly, Christmas tree, 130 millimeter, 1000 bar. According to the client, we manufactured and tailor-made this BHA, this assembly. So there should be the special stuffing box to withstand 1000 bar of pressure. It was also equipped with the lubricators. Next type of the equipment, there's a different heads for the fracking operations, so we can manufacture various types of cross trees for fracking operations. On the slide, you can see two types of cross trees with the protection system to protect the CT. So besides the complicated assemblies and Christmas trees, our company produces classical or conventional Christmas trees with 65, 80, or 100 millimeter ID. If we have a look at the 3D model, this valve consists of the stuffing box. There's a connector to suspend the CT, the gate valves.
Нашим предприятием освоена также технология наплавка условного прохода арматуры ГРП материалом НКНЛ 625. Данная технология
So we also mastered the technology of smoothing the inner diameter. It allows to improve the performance 2-3 times, improve the corrosion resistance during fracturing and acid fracturing by flaking. So we would like to say that we repair the equipment and provide maintenance to the equipment that we sell, and all the logistics is again on us. So we take this equipment from you and we deliver it back. So we can also conduct training of the specialists of the client, how to repair and operate the equipment that we manufacture. Thank you for your attention. So do we have any questions?
Вопросов нет. Спасибо, Артем.
There are no questions. Thank you, Artem. And we get down to the next presentation, Izhneftemach import substitution as the strategy to complete Russian wells.
Good morning, dear colleagues. This is Izhneftemach company. I'm happy to see all of you here, and I thank the organizers for indeed having us all here during these trying times. I know how challenging it is to organize an event like this, and therefore we also thank you for running the video because it indeed expands the possibilities of participation for all the participants and our clients. Despite all the COVID-induced limitations, it's important to stay connected and stay aware of the recent developments and the new prospects that we have in mind. Following my colleagues who were speaking before me, I was thinking of making my presentation somewhat different. I mean, as compared to what we originally planned to deliver, while making a bigger emphasis on the things that we were able to achieve this year and where we can take these things forward. So, therefore, I'm going to be speaking mostly about import substitution. Most of us watch very closely the situation that is currently happening in the United States with the electoral process. So we are watching all this, bearing in mind the possibilities and opportunities that this might offer. So there are many factors that are both accelerating and on the other hand, impeding our international cooperation. So this is to reiterate once again that we find ourselves in challenging conditions these days, and this, of course, is no big surprise, since this is something that we've been dealing with for several years already. A few words about the company. Yuzhneftemar is oil service division of the Remera group of companies. It's based around Chelyabinsk Metal Works, and it was good to also watch the previous presentation by our colleagues who mentioned that Chelyabinsk is also developing the equipment for hydraulic fracturing, which of course enables Russian-based and Russian-produced operations. The oil service division was mostly about upstream completion. We were also producing electric centrifugal pumps, while Yuzhneftemar was mostly working with bottom hole deep pumps, working at the oil fields of our clients, and we're still running a lot of wells and servicing a lot of wells, both in Russia and abroad. And since I seem to be running into some issues with the clicker, I still have to master this technology. The group of companies invested around 590 million rubles to upgrade its production facility. The total revenue was around 15 billion rubles, and the workforce strength is was around 4,000 people. And of course, OPEC Plus and COVID this year have an impact on the figures that we're going to witness by the end of the year. We are based in Ijevsk. Ijevsk is the actually birthplace of dynamic drives, and it's also the weaponsmiths city. We are based in Eastern and Western Siberia in Kazakhstan. We have offices in Saudi Arabia, and in Dubai we have a representative office in the United States. So our company is working very actively to expand our production facilities and our presence to try and make sure that we are found on all continents. And a few words about the import substitution that I wanted to specifically focus on, even though I will be trying to be brief. Well, in addition to the completion that we have been working rather mostly over the past several years in the CIS and in Russia, we also went into bottom hole completion, including the multi-stage fracturing bottom hole assemblies. We signed an agreement with Driven Oilfield Solutions and procured design documents to further develop our own instruments using their proprietary developments. As a result, we produced the import substitution solutions for the bottom hole completion that are now fully on par with the level and quality of the technologies presented today and yesterday, while offering cost and benefit advantages because they're being locally produced, locally serviced, and locally maintained, while also their development is informed by the real oil field conditions that are well known for our Russian deposits. So what are the things that we've been doing, and what are the things that we plan to do? Well, the bottom hole completion instruments that we have been offering includes three main avenues. Strike, that is all activated sleeves, that many people have been mentioning. We have the tool-controlled, also CT-enabled Frac sleeves. That would be the shuttle. And Spectre, the Selective Packers with hydrofracturing, multi-stage fracturing capacity. This was also offered as the completion bottom hole assembly with the controllable ports. So ball technologies. We're all aware of the ball technologies, and we've known them for many years. This is a well-tested, field-tested solution, and we know all the pros and cons. So there's probably the ball drop technologies are about 80% of the bottom hole completion market for the Russian Federation. And they enable quite prompt operation at the wellhead. The strings that we offer and assemblies that we offer are all localized, so all the equipment was redesigned to match Russian specifications, while we took the best performance characteristics that were offered by our colleagues, including the short packer, that allows doing extended reach with a substantial inclination of the sidetrack and lateral bores. That includes both hydraulically activated and ball activated ports, upper packers in the tailpiece. So basically everything that was mentioned was localized. And this is the symbiotic solution of the most successful instruments that were previously offered by Western developers. Well, and I'm basically finishing this session with the topic of completion and everything that we've been watching for the past 2 days and offered by our Western colleagues. We are basically offering, including locally designed and locally produced, without any limitations caused by the sanctions and COVID-19. I will try to just click through the presentation. So this is the video of our technology, the ball drop solutions that we are used to seeing. Well, all standard ball drop solutions are millable ball solutions. We also offer retractable saddles that basically eliminate that milling stage. Originally, whenever we launch wells after the completion, there's actually no big difference between the retraction and saddle recovery and or ball milling, but that actually offers a lot of difference in terms of subsequent well interventions. So these retractable saddles, they are similar to millable balls, but basically you shift the saddle and remove it, it becomes transportable, and we can basically engage with that saddle and remove it in one trip. So we can basically do the flushing and then retrieve the saddle. The experience of our colleagues, 23 saddles removed and retracted with one trip, 18 ports in 3 hours, that means. Well, these sliding sleeves that we all have been hearing today and yesterday have also been localized by our company. And the premium ports are well known. I mean, we know the pros and cons of the system. And all the limitations mostly have to do with the price, the quality, and the rate of completing every frac stage. They can be controlled by the conventional tubes, but actually that means a lot of sacrifices in terms of downtime. What I would like to specifically focus on are selective packers that we have been offering for our clients. The cup-to-cup system, rather well known, but the difference is that the bottom packer in our case has axial setting that basically enables to prevent overpressing fluid into the formation. Most of our colleagues know that whenever you use cup-to-cup system, the bottom packer runs the risk of proppant sedimentation and for the clamping. But since we have axial design here, we mitigate this risk, and that enables doing hydraulic fracturing with a more optimal technology that basically controls the volume of proppant that goes through the fracture. The technology is well adapted to the Russian oil field conditions. We did certain modifications of the toolkit. Well, originally, the bottom hole assembly was mostly designed for green wells, but in Russia we have a number of brown oil fields that are interested in this equipment, but the brown fields also offer substantial limitations related to the cleanness or lack of cleanness of the wellbore. That is why we redesigned and updated certain elements of the string to ensure a risk-free operation on brown oil wells. And an important addition that the packer imitator that we basically suggest running down the hole before you put down the instruments. There are several projects to redesign and update the equipment. I previously, being the Frac specialist, did not pay any attention because I never ran into it. But in this picture, you see that we have an instrument that includes a 3-meter magnet in its composition. It runs down to prepare the string together with the imitator, together with the packer template. So what you see on the magnet are particles of the milled saddle. So it was a 3-port well, previously milled, and this image basically showed you the second trip. The first trip, the magnet was fully covered with debris, and during the second trip, we got additional batch of string and debris, and because we often run into multi-stage strings that are sitting downhole, that actually clogs up the ports, and these debris basically are in the way of sleeves opening, closing, and doing that in a manageable way. So we draw your attention to that fact once again. So something that we offer in terms of retractable ports and saddles rather than the millable balls. And a few words about the projects that we've managed. It was done on Nizhnevartovsk oil fields, and you probably, people who do fracturing there know the formation parameters, 50 tons of propant per oil well, and the wells were quite in good conditions, and that the flow rate was almost unrestricted, and we've been doing that with the 114 gauge tool that basically is good for up to 150 tons of propant per trip. Another solution that has so far not been that popular in Russia is the soluble settles with the cartridge. So this is quite popular in North America. I believe that these solutions will also basically find the customers with deeper wells. Well, this one is suggested for 3.5 to 6 kilometers. So basically, it was 3.5 downhole and then the lateral well of 2.5 kilometers. And the standard 2 and 7/8 of an inch string weighs about 70 tons, and the standard crane is unable to basically pull that. And in our region, heavy rigs are difficult to manage, they're more costly to operate. Therefore, the solutions that do not require any works on the wellbore after the frac jobs will be extremely interesting for the candidate wells. In this case, the cartridge saddle has a unique profile. So whenever we pump it down of the wellbore, whenever it reaches a match with the sleeve, it captures it, slides the sleeve to do the frac job. The equipment can include up to 53 stagers per well. We had unique wells like that where we had this number of stages, while the design number of stages is up to 54. Now, soluble systems, it gets fixed in place. It cannot get shut accidentally, because Igor was telling us about how balls operate downhole. And so this equipment also mitigates the very risks associated with the ball behavior. It also offers the ability to use the tubing Annular Packers to cement the wellbore, to do the casing. Well, actually, the question, whenever the wellbore is cemented from toe to the wellhead, this is the soluble saddle. It has a unique profile. Like I mentioned, there are 53 different profiles, and they're all soluble systems that my colleagues would tell you that can be treated with different acid solutions, which means that we're able to design a really flexible multi-stage fracturing string that will help our clients make a breakthrough on brown oil fields with complicated deep and lateral wells. Thank you very much for the attention and for the interest that you demonstrated towards this event. And thank you, big thank you for having this event here. I will gladly take any questions that you might have.
Есть вопросы в зале?
Добрый день, компания «Беларусьнефть».
Good afternoon, I'm from Belarusneft, Vladimir Marchenko. So when do you design the double packer systems?
В этом опыте сразу уточняющий вопрос, сколько вы делали максимум, скажем, запакировок?
So how many packer sittings did you do in one trip? In one trip, we guarantee 10 Packers. Total, the record value is 18. However, you also need to be aware that the design of your fracturing intervention is an important factor to bear in mind. If we're speaking about somewhat lower oil field, we can have up to 20 trips. If we're speaking about the very somewhat lower, but if we're pumping down up to 40 or 50 tons of propant, I guess it won't make sense running more than 3 trips, because also the equipment also gets dissolved by the fluid running the propant and the fatigue associated with that. Thank you.
Еще вопросы?
Any other questions?
Раз вопросов нет, спасибо большое, Дмитрий.
Since we don't have any more questions, thank you, Dmitry. It was an interesting one.
Следующий доклад и завершающий доклад этой сессии, этой конференции, это ICoTA-Russia, проведение семинаров по ГНКТ, ГРП.
So the next presentation is ICoTA-Russia and conducting seminars on directional drillings and frac operations.
Добрый день, коллеги. Меня зовут Грибов Артем, я исполнительный директор.
Good afternoon, distinguished colleagues. My name is Artyom Gribov. I am executive director of the ICoTA-Russian chapter and director of the Coiled Tubing Times magazine. My presentation is about the importance of trainings.
Начну презентацию со слов.
I will start presentation with some thoughts. The true knowledge is to know the limits of your unknown. And Socrates said that I know that I don't know anything. So it's impossible to know anything. That's why you need to learn all your life. So since 2019, ICoTA-Russia is starting a series of seminars to boost the level of knowledge of the Russian services companies. We're involving experienced lecturers from the leading companies of the world. We can organize on a turnkey basis seminars on the use of CET in workover and well construction, introduction to fracking, and introduction to directional drilling. On this slide, you can see the use of CT for well workover and well construction. So the full curriculum is sent you on request, and the subsequent curricula is sent on request. How it works. So the client sends a request for a seminar on a topic he is interested in. We send the curriculum of the training course. The client highlights the topics of great interest. We find a lecturer, a speaker, a trainer, sign a contract, and we conduct a seminar for the client. That's it from my side. Due to the fact that we have limitations on travel, we can organize these seminars online. So ICoTA is a leader in terms of technologies. So our session is over. And now I would like to give the floor to Konstantin Burdin, chairperson of the Russian chapter of ICoTA. To close the conference, I would like to thank you for coming here. Those people who are watching us online, thank you them for dedicating the time. I would like to thank the sponsors of the conference and give the floor to Mr. Burdin. Dear friends, so we had 2 fruitful working days. There were a lot of interesting presentations, and I do hope that you liked how the conference was organized. I would like to separately thank Artyom for this format, this hybrid format that was tested and implemented this year. We have a possibility to watch the conference online. Many participants were not able to come due to COVID limitations. And we could see the total number of participants listening to the conference, and there were even more of them than in this room. Of course, ICoTA will continue working It was conference 21. Next year, I hope the situation with COVID will be resolved. I would like to thank all the sponsors, organizers, all the participants and speakers, and looking forward to see you at our next conference.
Еще минутка внимания. В зале, в ресторане будет обед. Проходите, пожалуйста.
So lunch will be served at restaurant. Please have lunch, and we announce our conference closed.